The State of the Union was last night, and for those who didn't see it, here it is in 2 minutes.
Tonight, this chamber speaks with one voice to the people we represent. It is you, our citizens, who make the state of our union strong. Let's make this a year of action. That's what most Americans want. The budget compromise should leave us freer to focus on creating new jobs, not creating new crises. America does not stand still, and neither will I. So wherever and whenever I can take steps without legislation to expand opportunity for more American families, that's what I'm going to do. Today, women make up about half our workforce, but they still make 77 cents for every dollar a man earns. It is time to do away with workplace policies that belong in a Mad Men episode. Women deserve equal pay for equal work. When women succeed, America succeeds. In the coming weeks, I will issue an executive order requiring federal contractors to pay their federally funded employees a fair wage of at least $10.10 an hour. Say yes. Give America a raise. For decades, few things exposed hardworking families to economic hardship more than a broken healthcare system. And in case you haven't heard, we're in the process of fixing that. I do not expect to convince my Republican friends on the merits of this law. Again, if you have specific plans to cut costs, cover more people, increase choice, tell America what you do differently. Today, all our troops are out of Iraq. More than 60,000 of our troops have already come home from Afghanistan. Together with our allies, we will complete our mission there by the end of this year, and America's longest war will finally be over. Nothing in life that's worth anything is easy. Corey is here tonight, and like the Army he loves, like the America he serves, Sergeant First Class Corey Remsburg never gives up, and he does not quit.
Okay, so first, let me tell you the positives of the speech. The delivery. I mean, Obama is usually good at the delivery, but I think he did very well with that the other night. I mean, I found myself as cynical and as skeptical as I am. You find yourself almost getting lost in the way that he delivers a speech because he does it in such a powerful and compelling way. I think his comments on raising the minimum wage, positive all the way. It's going to affect 560,000 people. It's basically the only thing he could have done via executive order without going through Congress, and he took that step. He took it also, I should mention, because of workers that were striking, but nonetheless, he took the step, so that's a positive thing. He also owned Obamacare again. He called out the Republicans at one point and said, don't try another 40-something times to repeal it. Let's actually get to work on things that matter. I like that very much. He made some good comments about gender politics, like you just heard there, 77 cents to $1. Let's get away from these Mad Men era policies. He even got a laugh out of John Boehner when he said that. He focused on income inequality, but he was also kind of light on the policy substance there beyond the minimum wage. And he also mentioned that he would veto the extra Iran sanctions since they're in the middle of negotiating and they're close to coming to peace and agreeing on something. He's like, don't mess up this process. And he called out everybody who was, standing up against him. And by the way, lo and behold, what happened today? Two people who were supporting the Iran sanction bill, they dropped their support for it. So Obama swayed them. Because why? He actually used the bully pulpit in that respect, and he did a good job. So those are the positives there. And actually, I saved the most important one. Let me tell you that one. I almost left that out here. When he was talking about that soldier who was injured, the injured veteran, there was like a 3-minute standing ovation, at least. In fact, it might have even been longer. Now, of course, the sick truth is that the poor kid should have never been sent to those misguided wars in the first place, and most people in that chamber are definitely to blame for it. A lot of those people sitting there voted for the Iraq and the Afghanistan wars. But either way, and I'm telling you, that's the substance, and it's good to keep that in mind. So all those guys that are cheering, they're really to blame for why that poor kid is injured in the first place. But that moment is going to play over really well throughout the entire country. They're going to look at that as touching. They're going to look at that as, a genuinely patriotic moment where we all stood together and we applauded our veterans. So how did people like it overall? Well, according to the instant CNN poll, 76% of the American people viewed it positively. So it was a success in terms of the delivery. Now let's get to the negatives. He continued to talk about a all-of-the-above energy policy, which of course scares me that he's hinting that the Keystone Pipeline will be approved and we're not going to move towards a real green economy and come up with the energy jobs of the future. He's still in favor of natural gas. He's still in favor of oil production. He's likely in favor of the Keystone Pipeline. So that's a red flag there. He didn't mention ENDA at all, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, which would make it so that, gays and lesbians can't get fired simply because they're gay, and they can't get kicked out of restaurants in, red states simply because they're gay. He didn't mention that at all. He also didn't talk about seriously reining in drone policy. He said, we should make some minor changes, but still use them. Yes, use them. All right, that you're not convincing me of anything there. It sounds like you're just in favor of the same old drone policy, which hurts us and increases terrorism. He also did not mention pot or drug policy or the war on drugs at all, not a single word. There was no mention of the government shutdown. You didn't talk about the government shutdown? I mean, that was... You had such an opportunity. And also, I should mention Bill Clinton in 1996. Huffington Post had that video up earlier. When they did a 28-day government shutdown under him, he called out the Republicans for it to their faces. And guess what? It worked. The American people gave him a bump in his approval ratings, and the Republicans dropped. So he missed a clear opportunity to call out these obstructionists. And that's probably one of the worst parts, is that it was just lacking on really explaining what's actually happening in the country. And I get why he did it. He doesn't want to come across as like, this asshole who's just pointing the finger at everybody else. But you can do that in a way that's palatable. And you can do that in a way that coincides with the facts. So you should have done it. But the worst part of all, listen to what he said about Afghanistan.
In Iraq and Afghanistan. Today, all our troops are out of Iraq. More than 60,000 of our troops have already come home from Afghanistan. With Afghan forces now in the lead for their own security, our troops have moved to a support role. Together with our allies, we will complete our mission there by the end of this year, and America's longest war will finally be over. After 2014, we will support a unified Afghanistan as it takes responsibility for its own future. If the Afghan government signs a security agreement that we have negotiated, a small of Americans could remain in Afghanistan with NATO allies to carry out two narrow missions: training and assisting Afghan forces, and counterterrorism operations to pursue any remnants of al-Qaeda. For while our relationship with Afghanistan will change, one thing will not: our resolve that terrorists do not launch attacks against our country.
There you have it. Obama even admitted he wants to stay in Afghanistan. You can't say, oh, we're drawing down, we're ending the war in Afghanistan. And we're going to keep some guys there to do these two narrow missions of training the Afghanistan people and also counter-terrorism. But wait, if you're keeping thousands of people there and you're going to do counter-terrorism, I'm not a genius or anything, but that appears to me like you're just continuing the war. So what percentage of the American people agree with that strategy? 17%. Okay, the war in Afghanistan is now less popular than the war in Iraq and Vietnam. It is less popular than Vietnam. But Mr. Liberal Democrat is going, yeah, we're going to go pull out, except we're not. We're going to just stay there. I mean, think about that in any other aspect of life. Think about that kind of mentality. Oh, no, we're totally leaving, except we're just going to stay a little bit. Imagine doing that with sex. Yeah, we're totally going to stop having sex, but I'm just going to leave the tip in. Pretty sure you're still having sex.